there's a kind of a hot topic of any creative. I'm in sort of videography, and the hot topic is going to uni or film school versus just getting experience in the workplace.
Yeah.
And you've got industry heavyweights saying that you don't need film school, you don't need arts, you don't need an arts degree. How did you find doing a creative subject as a degree?
Yeah, well, for myself, I've always kind of enjoyed studying, reading, things like that. So I can see that part of going to uni and doing an art subject is very hard because you're used to just kind of creating work and not having this whole kind of academic side to it. So dissertation, I think, is a big struggle for a lot of creative people because you're kind of made to do this 10,000 word essay about anything, which I think is very hard, especially when you have other degrees where there's a specific subject so you know what you're writing about. So it was like when you see like creative course dissertations, it's always very interesting because no one does the same thing. It's always just very varied. But I do agree with the fact that I don't think university is necessary for a creative course, but I think it can be beneficial. Like, if I didn't go to university, there was certain aspects of my work that would not be as refined as they are now. And even, like, creating ideas and things, like, I needed to have my lecturers' kind of advice, and understanding criticism, I think, is very important as well. When I first started uni, I remember I got, like, my first critique, and I was so upset by it, because my whole life I've been nice, like, I'm good at photography. And then it was just like, I've just been, like, destroyed in front of the whole class. But I feel like that kind of helps, because in the industry, you're going to have so many people that are so brutal to you about your work. So it's kind of getting that thick skin, which is kind of needed with, like, creativity. Because you're going to have people that hate your work. Like, there's people that don't like my work. They just say, they're blurry photos. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's your opinion, but all right. So I think it does help in that aspect, but I don't think it's necessary for everyone. I've really enjoyed university, and I just enjoy studying quite a lot. So I've always been quite like a workaholic, so I need like multiple things happening at once. So yeah, so it's not necessary for everyone.
So what was the teachers and the teaching style like? How did you find it?
So we had like 3 lecturers, and then one that was for like dissertation. But the 3 main ones were for photography. They're all very like different from each other. So I feel like that worked quite well. Like, one was a bit harsher, so he was kind of best to go to for like critiques, because you know that he's going to strip down your work and make you explain everything. Because when I first started my degree, I came up with like my idea for my project, but then I had to switch lecturers because of other issues. But he kind of was completely different to the other lecturer I had before. So at first I was a bit like, I'm a bit scared now because I don't know what my project's really about, because it started off as something, but I realised it was actually about something else. So it was kind of understanding that development, that creative like process kind of goes through, like you'd probably know yourself. It just kind of changes as you're doing it. And I think it was kind of like embracing that as well. Because at first it's kind of scary to like watch your project evolve. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, we had a lecturer called Piers, and he was sort of like the music teacher from Whiplash.
Oh God, so, yeah.
So it was like,
yeah,
everybody was like shaking in their shoes when it came to one-on-one feedback. So I was like, oh God.
Because I used to be like that with one of them, but now we're just really close. Like, I still speak to all the lecturers outside uni now. Like, if I need advice, then I ask them, like, meet up for coffee sometimes. So it's kind of nice.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
That's cool. So with your film photography, how do you feel about sort of the digital aspect of photography? I mean, I actually had an interview for the course that you did.
Oh, okay.
And it was sort of, it was sort of an insecurity of mine I didn't know I had when I went to the interview. And I brought my laptop along with me with a file of all of my stuff.
Yeah.
And I walked into the room where all the other like candidates, I guess, were all kind of sat around. And everybody had folders with film photography, and I was sort of sat there like, oh, I don't know if I like belong, if I feel like I belong here or not. Because I'm big on, like, basically big on really commercial work. Automotive photography is like a big thing for me. So, yeah, I suppose, how do you feel about film photography and digital photography?
I would say film photography is very good for understanding how cameras work, which then can benefit you in like digital like cameras, because I've always had like a digital camera alongside my film camera, and like sometimes when I want to kind of work things out for my film camera, I'll actually use the digital one, because then it will just tell me all the answers basically. So it's kind of good for like cheating in that way. But I feel like it's definitely based on style. Like there's a certain style you can get from film that you can't get from digital. Like you can try and edit it, but it's always kind of obvious. Like there's been times where I'm like, oh, I can't afford to buy film right now. I'll try and like make it look like I've done it with my digital camera, and it just does not look the same. But I think it can work sometimes, but I feel like digital is definitely very good. Like especially now, like at uni, I don't know if you saw them. They had these Fuji cameras, and I think they cost like 40 grand. Like they're so expensive.
Yeah.
But the photos you got from those were insane. Like it looked better than real life, and I just don't know how that's physically possible. But they were amazing. So I feel like it's definitely based on style, but I feel like studying a bit of film will help benefit digital, and like jumping from one to the other is always like, I feel like some people think, okay, I'm a photographer, but I only do digital, is like a very like common mindset. Like a lot of my friends are like, oh, I only shoot and film, and it's like, okay, but you can do like digital sometimes. So I feel like it's a personal thing, I think, as well. Because like I was gonna go to Norwich Uni originally, but they didn't actually have a dark room, so instantly I was like, oh, I'm not going here, I'm sorry. Like I'd like to go to that university, because loads of people I know that have gone there have got like amazing photography, and then they still use film as well, but it's just they didn't have the same kind of, you wouldn't gain the same skill set as what I kind of did at university, just because we had all the supplies you needed.